Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of The FrEEK Show. I'm Munk, and this is my friend Jax, here with me today because Moose couldn't make it. And today, happy Thanksgiving, first of all, to everybody who's watching this in the U.S. And I figured for a Thanksgiving special, why not do something, well, special. So today we are going to be talking about Jeffrey Dahmer, the People Nommer.
Gobble, gobble.
So how much do you really know about Jeffrey Dahmer?
I don't really know that much. Like, for me, I kind of knew about more of the other serial killers rather than him. I think I know that he ate people, and
That's the main thing
that
people
he did.
know.
That's
he
the
main
main
thing that he's known for, to be honest.
I know he had a lot of victims. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I know he was somebody that had a lot of victims, and I know when he was a kid.
Too.
I know when he was a kid, he killed animals. I'm pretty sure that's one of them too. But I think I don't really know that much about him.
Well, we'll go ahead and we'll get into that. All right. So, are you ready to go?
As ready as I'll ever be.
You say that now. All right.
No. I'm terrified to know.
All right. So, Jeffrey Dahmer was born in May of 1960, oldest of two children, to parents who themselves, they had issues. He was often neglected. Although his father does recall that even from an early age, as young as 4 years old, that Jeffrey was fascinated by animal bones. Jeffrey would go and collect animal bones and play with them, calling them his fiddlesticks. And as time grew on, so did his interest. And he then later learned how to dissolve flesh from animal bones, including from roadkill. And he would then bury them beside an old shack on their property, essentially building his own pet cemetery. And yes, he would go and walk up and down the roads collecting roadkill. Yeah.
Like, why?
He was fascinated by
I guess
the anatomy and how the insides worked, and by the bones. Like, his dad was actually a chemist, and he actually asked his dad one night at dinner. He was just like, what happens if I put these chicken bones in bleach? And his dad actually taught him how to go and bleach bones for preservation, and how to dissolve the flesh away from it. Yeah.
Well, that seemed interesting.
Yep. So, as Jeffrey reached puberty, he realized that he was gay. And this was a secret that he kept to himself. He would later find himself acting out, pretending to have epileptic seizures or having cerebral palsy at school as well as local stores. So he would literally just all of a sudden start acting crazy, or acting like he was having a seizure in the middle of a school hallway or in the middle of a grocery store. He would just pretend to start having a seizure or start acting like he had cerebral palsy or something along those lines. This was how he got attention. Jeffrey's fascination with, let's say, biology also continued to grow. He once beheaded a dog and pinned it to a tree so that he could see what was inside, as well as his friends recall an instance when they were all out fishing. Instead of cutting the fish that he caught free, Jeffrey stabbed it multiple times to, quote, see how the insides worked.
Yeah, that's when you call a psychiatrist.
Yeah. So, okay, here we go. As Jeffrey grew older, he developed a drinking problem. He would even go to school with alcohol. He would have a bottle, a little flask of whiskey or scotch or something, either in his jacket or in a cup that he brought with him to school. classmates remember asking why he was drinking scotch at school and why he was seen on school property just like downing beers, and he was just like, it's my medicine.
I wonder if he did all this because it sounds like he wanted a lot of attention maybe from his parents, because it seems like he's acting out to get in trouble so that he can get that attention.
See,
or something.
That's where a lot of people would actually kind of agree. Jeffrey didn't really agree with that, though. We'll talk a little bit more about like some of the things that he said later on.
Okay.
All right. The Dahmer parents would end up getting a divorce and pretty much leaving Jeffrey alone all the time. Like, as of graduation, he was literally living in the family home by himself. So he was like 17, 18 years old, living by himself because both of his parents split. One day, while... so this was a couple weeks after graduation. One day while driving down the street, back in 1978, Jeffrey saw one of his fantasies in the form of a shirtless hitchhiker. Jeffrey picked up the hitchhiker, whose name is Stephen Hicks, and took him back to his house with promises of beer. Hicks went along with it, but after a while he stated that he wanted to leave. This upset Dahmer, and he ended up striking the young man with a 10-pound dumbbell twice in the back of his head, and then when the young man hit the floor, Dahmer would then strangle him with the dumbbell, killing his first victim. So he was 18 when he killed his first victim. Jeffrey would then, he recounts standing over the corpse. This is a little bit graphic, but he found himself standing over the corpse and he masturbated onto the corpse.
Whoa.
To dispose of the corpse, he would dissolve the flesh from the bones, flushing all that goop down the toilet, and then he smashed the bones into dust and scattered it into the woods nearby his house. He would go and then watch, like, for reports of this person, and nothing ever came up, and he realized, I just got away with murder.
That's straight commitment, because to do all that, like...
Mm-hmm. And it's all because the guy said that he wanted to leave. So, it would be another 9 years before he started to murder again. Within that time, Jeffrey actually joined the military, although he ended up getting discharged because his drinking problem led to a lot of disciplinary issues. He was honorably discharged, though, because the military didn't think that the issues that he had there would go and really affect his... affect an ordinary life outside of the military. After being discharged, he moved to Milwaukee, where his tendencies ended up escalating. So his family, he lived in Ohio growing up, but his family's actually from Milwaukee. He actually moved in with his grandma at first, before getting his own place.
Oh, I didn't know that he was... Wow. It's not that far.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, from you guys now. From me.
Yeah, from where I'm in.
Yeah.
I did not know that, though.
Okay, so, like I said, 9 years after his first murder, he started to murder again. He would often find himself frequenting gay bars and gay bathhouses, looking for victims who would not be missed. He would literally go and... I don't know how much of this is true. This may be a little rumor or hearsay, but apparently he would go into these places, and when he started having conversations with these different young men, he would go and ask them, what was it like when you came out? And if they said, oh, I'm estranged from my family now, they disowned me, he'd be like, excellent.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. He started to save the bodies, keeping them in ice in his bathtub. Later, he would end up saving organs or flesh from the arms and legs. At one point, Jeffrey would even try to make sex zombies by essentially performing a lobotomy on the victim. He would go and actually drill in a hole into the victim's skull, and then he would put either hydrochloric acid or hot water into the brain directly.
Jeez.
Yeah. One of the victims of this would-be lobotomy, though, ended up escaping, but didn't really make it too far. And when Jeffrey found him, because he was like right outside of his place of residence, he quickly brought him back and gave him another injection, which automatically killed him. And this kid, like this person was, I believe, record safe 14.
Oh my gosh.
His killing spree went on until 1991, when another victim ended up escaping and flagged down the police. The young man who Dahmer had attempted to handcuff brought the police back to Dahmer's home. He flagged down the police and he was just like, look, this crazy freak just went and tried handcuffing me and doing God knows what. I ran out of there. Can you just take off this handcuff? And they were like, well, no, we don't have a key for this one, but we'll go with you back to the apartment. So when the police asked Dahmer for the key, he said that he didn't have a key for it. They asked to search the premises, to which Dahmer obliged. And one of the officers found pictures of nude men as well as pictures of the cut-up corpses. When the officer realized pictures were taken in the room he was standing in, he called out to the other officers to arrest them. Dahmer confessed to the murder of 17 young men over the course of 13 years. He was sentenced to several lifetimes in jail. He died in prison in November of 94, killed by a fellow inmate, which ironically killed him with a dumbbell.
That was from his first victim, right?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Yep.
Guess it's true. What goes around comes around.
Yeah. So, years later, like, if you go and watch any interviews with him, he goes and he says that one of his reasons for doing it was because he didn't want people to leave him. He wanted them to stay with him forever. And he had this whole mindset of wanting to pretty much dominate over whoever he was with. But he always thought that people would go and leave him, so he ended up drugging and killing them before they had a chance to. He says that he doesn't blame his parents at all. He said, what I did is my own fault. Like, I did this, something wrong with me. This is the reasons why I did it, not to make excuses for myself, because there is no excuse.
So he took accountability.
He did take accountability.
Like, his actions.
Yep. And tried to give, like, some reasoning to it without, like, trying to make up an excuse for himself. Like, he wasn't like, oh, my parents didn't pay me enough attention, that's why I did this. It was a case of, I didn't want them to leave. And actually, that's kind of what brought on the cannibalism part. Because he felt like if he devoured the person, that they would always be a part of him. And apparently,
wow, that's really interesting.
he was also very close to actually making like a remembrance altar to his victims.
That is wow.
Yep.
I did not know any of that about him. That's crazy.
Yep. I found some other crazy things about him too. Like apparently, he once stole a male mannequin, and when he was living with his grandma at the time, and when she found it in his closet, she demanded that he got rid of it. he was
Or
doing
maybe she
things
knew
on the
something.
mannequin. Well, he was always drunk, and he was
Oh.
always bringing home men from the bar. He didn't really start killing again until, like, maybe towards the end of his time at his grandma's. I believe, from everything that I've read, it said that, like, one of the reasons that she wanted him to leave, aside from his drunkenness, him going and bringing home men, but there was also strange smells coming from his closet and from the basement.
See, I'm a crazy person. I would have been like, what's that smell? And gonna go look. Like, I wouldn't be like, it smells weird, and I'm just gonna leave it alone. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe they were fearful of him, though. Like,
Maybe.
didn't want to know, you know?
I mean, it's always
Sometimes
a possibility.
people aren't. I would think. Because, like, I'm sure that they knew something was up, but they probably didn't know what. But I don't know. I'm one of those people that are like, what are you doing? Like, it smells in here, and I'm gonna go in there if you don't, like, clean this up.
You would
But
think. But,
you would, I mean, why is it your house and you're, like, letting somebody, I don't know, do something that you don't know about? I don't know. That's the strange thing to me. I would be like, what's that smell? I'm gonna go check it out. I don't know, but that's me. I'd probably be like the first person to die in a horror movie, honestly. I'd be like, because I'd be like, what is that? I don't know. I have to go and find it out, but I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's crazy. I'm the thing that I'm curious about is, like, the span of time that he would, like, to kill somebody. Like you said, what, it was like 9 years? At a point,
in between,
like,
yeah, there was 9 years in between his first victim and his second victim. But then it was just a
and then,
matter of, like, a few years for the rest of the victims.
because I know that some just go on a killing spree and it's continuous. I wonder why that there was a span from his first to his second.
Honestly, from what I heard, he never meant to kill the first one. He was drunk, and he got pissed when this guy said that he wanted to leave, and that's what kind of triggered it. Although, like, he did feel like there was some stories about him, like, actually trying to get a jogger that would regularly like jog in the neighborhood. He said that he remembers going out with, like, a baseball bat and hiding in the woods waiting for this jogger to come around, and just by chance the jogger wasn't jogging that day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would have been a different fate for him if he was. Then that's crazy.
Yeah. And but yeah, sometimes they don't necessarily think to themselves, oh, I'm going to be a killer. It's just kind of a thing of, well, shit, I did this. And then, like, later on down the line, I could do this again because I already got away with it once.
Yeah, I see.
Like,
yeah.
Like, one of the first serial killer videos that we did was actually a case of a lady whose nickname is the Giggling Nanny, or Giggling Granny. It's this old lady who literally was murdering from the time she was, like, 20 to the time she was, like, 70.
A grandma was murdering?
Yeah, including one of her grandchildren. Well, supposedly one of her grandchildren. She never admitted to that one. She said that she never killed any bloodkin. There's a video on it. I'll send you a link to it later.
Yeah. It's interesting to watch, but at the same time, I'm like...
No, I know. Trust me. Trust me, I get it. I do so much research into all of this that sometimes I'm just like, I need to take a break. This is dark.
Yeah,
after my first research
like
section on this, I finished one thing and then I was just like, okay, I need to step away. This is a lot, because, like, when you first hear of it, you're just like, oh yeah, Jeffrey Dahmer, he killed and ate people. But the things that nobody talks about is, like, him killing animals when he was younger. The fact that he was gay, he was a necrophiliac, like, on top of everything else, like, it was actually pretty sadistic. Like, the things that
but, like,
he would
the reasoning
do.
for it too, like how you were saying, like, he didn't want somebody to leave, so then he like
Mm-hmm.
devoured them to keep them and their, I guess, their essence with him. I mean, I think that's different than any other serial killer I've heard about. That's pretty like dark and deep in a weird sense. It's like
Yeah, it's
he
in a
wanted their
way,
soul.
in a way, like obviously douchebag. Like, don't like this guy.
Oh yeah,
Like, he
oh
did
yeah. Like
horrible
why?
things. But like, just hearing
Yeah, but
that, like, you're just like, it kind of makes sense.
yeah, it's kind of like, I guess it's a fucked up poetic like serial
Yeah,
killer
yeah,
reasoning. Like
yeah.
it's fucked up, totally screwed up.
We do not
But it's like
condone murder
we
or
yeah, we
consumption
don't. We
of
don't,
other
but it's just
people.
yeah, I don't want to say it's poetic. I don't want to say that either. It's I guess the way that his reasoning for it, and I guess in his own mind, you're like, okay, like I get that, but you could just become friends with somebody and hope that they accept your friendship or your love. And that's the normal way to do things, not.
Nah, I don't want to risk this person leaving, so I'm gonna drug them, take
Like,
advantage of them, and then kill them. And yeah,
yeah, it's like
a
a,
lot of people
like,
also went and suspected that it was race motivated because a majority, if not all, of his victims were pretty much like people of color, not just black, but like also
wow,
like
I didn't know
Hispanic
that
or.
either.
But from what I understand, that was never really a part of it. It had to do with A, whereabouts where he lived, and B, also, like, he would literally go for people that he found attractive. Like, it was never
Mm.
a case of, oh, I'm gonna kill this N word, like how a normal racist would be. Like, it was a case of, ooh, that person looks fine. I'm gonna take him home, drug him,
And I want to
rape him,
keep,
kill
I want
him.
to keep them.
I want,
Yeah.
yeah,
And keep them, devour them.
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. And how did he exactly, because I don't, did he store them for a time, or would he just kind of handle it all in one like kill and thrill kind of thing?
Um, it started off being a case of just like needing to get rid of the bodies. Like he actually remembers going and with like the first body that he tried disposing of, there was a bellhop or doorman or taxi driver that helped him with the luggage case that the body was in. And like the guy joked around and was just like, geez, what's in here? A body? And he was like, you know it. Ha ha ha. Yeah. And
That guy
then
probably
like
feels like.
later on it became a case of trying to get rid of it in pieces. And then later on like he would try keeping them for as long as he could. And then he would go and dissolve the body parts in the acid. And like just take care of the bones later, and he would flush all the goop down the toilet.
I'm just trying to process this. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's even, I don't know. That's, I just don't, I don't know. It's also because we can't compute it because
Yeah,
we
no.
obviously don't understand what he
Yeah.
did. But it's just like hearing about it and then trying to absorb it and then trying to understand, like, how we were saying his reasonings. It's just like, couldn't you be that committed to just living life and accepting things instead of going through this fucked up determination
Well,
that you have to
yeah.
keep somebody with you?
Well, I agree with you, and I think even like he agrees with it. Well, he agreed with it before he died, obviously.
Yeah.
But like it was just the way that his mind went. Like he knew that it
Yeah.
was a dark
Yeah.
path, and
There's something wrong. So obviously,
like he
but at
was.
least in the sense he was accountable for, I did do this. It's no one else's fault. It's
Yeah.
mine. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't okay in the head, you know?
Exactly.
But, yeah, it's, nonetheless, this is, wow.
Yep.
Even just learning about this is,
Yeah.
let me just say,
Like
my
there's a
eyes,
lot more
wow.
like in-depth detail that I didn't want to put in because I felt like it was too graphic. Even the stuff that I did put in I found graphic. But it's
Yeah,
definitely an
it's
interesting case. It's a very dark,
yeah,
interesting case, to say the least.
yeah. Well, I would definitely say that's probably. I've read about some killers and stuff, like seen like I think it
Like
was not Netflix,
obviously,
but like YouTube, like they when they talk about it.
like true crime videos
But
and
yeah, like true,
like this
yeah, and
one.
because I kind yes, like this one. So, but it's interesting, but it's also kind of like you can't even process their mind process. You know what I mean? Like about it, you're just like
Yeah,
So it's interesting, and then it's also like, huh,
yeah,
okay.
exactly. And the thing that really struck me, like even more so on top of everything else that I found out, was actually how recent all this was. Like I was alive for part of this.
Oh yeah, because you said in 1990,
1991, he
19.
was arrested. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, it's even crazier to me that a lot of these serial killers were around the time of like my parents.
Mm-hmm.
That you hear like it's
Like
like
I go,
70s,
like
80s.
typically like you
It's
go and hear
crazy.
about a serial killer, you're like, oh, that must have happened in like the 50s or 60s or something like
Hmm.
that. Not in the
Yeah,
fucking 90s.
yeah.
Like that just
That's
strikes
crazy
me
that
as
he was still
insane.
around then. Well, wasn't what's his name? Wasn't John Wayne Gacy around the
I think
90s
he
or
was
80s?
80s. I think Gacy was 70s or 80s. I'm not quite sure. I forget.
Because even yeah, I've heard about Gacy from
Well,
this manager
I
I
mean,
worked with.
we're both from Chicago. Like most people from Chicago have heard of John Wayne Gacy.
Yeah. But yeah, that's why I didn't know that much about Dahmer. I was like, I don't really know that much about him
I
other
didn't
than
even
those
know that it
few things that I
happened
learned.
pretty much in Milwaukee. All of it happened in Milwaukee. That kind of threw me off
Yeah, I didn't
too.
know that either. That's crazy that he wow.
Yep. It's a fucked up case. But thank you.
So why it is sorry,
No, go ahead.
you go on.
No, you go ahead. I told you
Well,
from the
I have
get
one
go.
more
Interrupt me. Go ahead.
um is he the only one that ate his victims? Is that what he's most known for, is eating the actual victims that he had?
That I'm not sure of. I'm sure that there's been other ones as well that did that. I just can't think of any off the top of my head. I'm sure somebody in the comments can let us know, but I can't think of any off the top of my head. But I think he was mostly famous for that.
Okay. So he was
Like
mostly famous for that and the
kind
many
of like
people that
how
he killed.
Ed Gein, aka Leatherface, like would go and like peel the skin off of his victims and stuff like that.
I see. So it's okay.
John
All
Wayne
right. Well,
Gacy is
that
known
was
for being a clown, the clown killer.
yeah, I
Like
remember that.
everybody's
I do know that.
Romero or Ramirez, something like that.
Yeah,
He was known
Ramirez.
as the
I
Night
remember. I've
Stalker.
heard. Yeah,
So
I watched a little bit about the Netflix thing on him.
yeah, so like everybody had something that they were mostly known for, and this was
Wow,
yeah
pretty interestingly
fucked up.
wild
It's
for
fucked
me to
up.
process. Yeah, it's so messed up. So messed up.
Yep.
But thank you for letting me join you in, us talking about this and me getting an education on this.
That's what I think to myself every single time I do one of these. I'm like,
Whatever
what
this,
did I get myself into?
yeah, it's like as soon as you start reading about it, you want to know everything, but then you're like,
At the same time,
I,
you're like,
I
I can't even deal with this. This is fucking insane.
yeah,
Um,
it's insane. Like to even just read it, I mean,
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I've read about them. I watched multiple videos about them, listened to podcasts about them. Like, that's the kind of prep that I do for, like, every single one of these videos is I go and I do all those things and just kind of try putting all the information together. And sometimes it could be system overload.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially about what you're reading
Mm-hmm.
about. That's wow. I'm glad that you didn't include more about it because I was like, I can't even handle what you're telling me right now. My eyes are
Yeah.
about to burst out of my head.
Yeah.
I was just like,
there were some things in here that, like, I was just like, I don't know, should I put that in? But then I was just like, it's kind of necessary a little bit for the story. But
you have to take it. You have to take it to that depth to kind of understand how sickening it was
yeah.
and how his explanation for it was even just as sickening, and to him, I'm sure it was, oh, well, this is the reason. Well, it's like, okay.
He never once, like, while he tried to explain it the best that he could, he never once, like, tried to make it out, like, it's okay because of this reason. Like, he did take on full responsibility of, this is what I did, this is why I did it. Was it right? No. Is there anybody or anything to blame? No, it's all on myself.
Yeah, that's at least something that he acknowledged.
Yeah.
Because I know that a lot of them are like, no, I didn't, or I'm never going to tell you, because they don't want the victims' families to know. So, I mean, at least he did acknowledge that he was, how would they say, fucked up. But, like, like he said, there's not something right with me. He acknowledged that. You know what I mean? So I could understand that, which I know a lot of them don't get. Some of them don't even know anything about it. I guess you could have.
Yeah, some people are just
I did not know any of it.
Yeah, that was my reaction. But thank you so much for joining me on this special Thanksgiving episode of The Freak Show.
No problem.
It was
Thanks
a real
for inviting
pleasure.
me.
I'll have to have you on for a topic that's not as dark as this one sometime.
Oh my gosh, yes. I would prefer that. Because I was like,
I'll have
what
you
did
on.
I get myself into?
That was my reaction looking into all this. But, like, I'll have to have you on again sometime to talk about, like, some kind of mythological creature or something.
Oh my gosh, yes, I would love it. I love mythological creatures.
You should, if you haven't yet, check out some of the other videos on the channel. Like, it's
definitely, I will.
We talk about a lot of stuff. Like, the last video we did was about aliens.
All right, I'll look into it.
All right. Well, thank you so much again, and thank you everybody at home for watching. Have a happy Thanksgiving if you're here in the U.S. If not, have a happy Thursday. All right. Take care. Stay spooky.